Walking through the pain of a broken heart? Then tune in to Mystic Radio with Rob and Alexis. If you are a widow, navigating loss, or curious about mediumship, join them. Experience live on-air connections between clairvoyant medium Rob and Alexis and her deceased husband, Bob, alongside somatic practitioner and healing guide, Mary Stephenson. Download the KKNW app Fridays at 8 a.m. Pacific or find them on your favorite podcast platform. And let this show help you heal.
Welcome to Mystic Radio with Robin Alexis.
And I'm Bob Bordenero, Robin's husband and producer of Mystic Radio, which is an experience, not an explanation.
Clearing energy for the show.
Welcome back to Mystic Radio. I am Spirit Lady Robin Alexis. I am known as Spirit Lady because that is what my husband, Bob Bordenaro, nicknamed me from the moment he met me. Bob opened this show live once a week for 19 years, and now what you just heard is a recording of his voice. Bob left his body on March 14th, 2026. It still pains me to say that, but he is still here in spirit. And each week I hear Bob telepathically tell me the theme of the show. And now today's show is Widows, It's Time to Unite. I can see Bob smiling as he continues to direct this show as Spirit Man Bob. This week, after he appeared to me and told me what the show is about, he also had a squirrel jump into his wind chimes so that they clanked away. And then he had a hummingbird come that flew right into my third eye area. I listened to it like its little wings beating, and it was so beautiful. So today is the first of many, many shows that my co-host Mary Stephenson and I, where we will bring on other widows to share their unique experiences. But the very first woman to break ground with us in this new field of energy on the show, this collective consciousness of supporting widows, our guest today is Mary Kennison. Mary Kennison listened to our earlier episodes and the remembrance we've been doing for Bob, and she reached out because she was preparing to let her husband Dave's ashes go. And she asked if I would be with her in spirit when she does it. So Mary and her daughter, Michelle, were able to do that last night. And today, Mary is with us in the studio, and she's going to share her story celebrating her husband, Dave. Mary, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're so excited to have you here. And now let's bring on Mary Stephenson, and she is the one who holds the steady, grounded container for this collective transition. She's a somatic practitioner and healing guide, and I don't know what I'd do without her, and I know she's going to help you too, Mary Kennison. Welcome, Mary Stephenson. We're handing the microphone over to you now.
Oh my gosh, what a great intro. Robin, thank you as usual for your collaboration. And Mary, it's such a privilege to have you here with us today. For those listening, my work as a somatic practitioner is helping people who are going through deep loss and grief reorient around the profound changes that go on in the body and the operating system as a whole. But there's something really healing, deeply healing about people who have lost someone when they can come together and share what's real and be reminded that we're not meant to carry this alone. So today, Mary, we are so thrilled to have you, and we want to be very tender with you today because last night you and your daughter Michelle released your husband Dave's ashes, and that was a significant moment. And so we are so happy to hear your story. You know, maybe what are you noticing in yourself today? And what can you share with us in relationship to who Dave was and your connections?
Okay. Well, first, thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I'm going to try not to cry. It goes back, really, I want to go back 3.5 years ago is when Dave passed away. And at that time, I knew that he wanted to be cremated. We did not expect him to die. It was a heart attack. He was 63 years old. So it was an unexpected death, but we had previously talked about what would happen. And it had always been, I knew I wanted to have a funeral, and we had thought that at one point we would take his ashes and my ashes and put them in a, a burial with a marker, and we would hang on to these ashes. So when he passed away, I wanted to have the funeral. We were not connected at the time with any church, and I wasn't sure. Dave was more connected with nature, not a church building. He was that kind of a person. So to have a funeral in a church wasn't really honoring him. But I live in a semi-retirement community, and it's very well set up for widows and this type of situation. So I contacted a funeral home. They did everything. They were phenomenal and did an excellent job. We gave them pictures. They put on this show. It was the best thing ever. And I told my daughters, I said, I need to have, for me, I needed to have a funeral. And Dave had always said, my funeral should be a party, and I want to have 6-foot sub sandwiches and beer. And that was it. So that was my direction I had, was 6-foot long sandwiches and beer. So I was going to do that. And I told my daughters, because I'm from California, but I live in Arkansas. So it's a long distance for family and friends to travel. So I told them it doesn't matter if 5 people show up. I'm having this funeral for me. And I needed to do that. Well, what was such a wonderful thing for me was the people who showed up. And I had a brother and sister-in-law, my brother, who got in the car when he heard and just started driving the 4 hours or 4 days away. He goes, I didn't think anything of it. We got in the car and started driving. Then one of my sisters took a flight. Okay, how am I going to get out here? One of Dave's brothers flew out, a nephew, a niece, a sister-in-law. So it was people that they had to travel a long distance and drop everything. And to me, that was just, it not only honored Dave, but the support that it gave me was so wonderful. They'll never know what they really did. And at that time, it was a week and a half after he passed, and I realized you are really in a state of shock. And I didn't understand what shock was. And I read that later in grieving books. But when you are going through it, you don't understand what shock is. And it's very hard to think and to make decisions. And one of the things why they always say, don't make any big decisions for a year, I think is true, because it's kind of like if you've ever experienced being pregnant, your brain doesn't quite think. And people would laugh and say, oh, I have pregnancy brain, and they laugh about it. Grieving brain is like that, because it takes so much energy to grieve.
Absolutely.
And to understand the process of change, because your life has suddenly and drastically changed.
And we can feel, and I just want to take a minute to bring everybody to a breath connection, because we want to honor the amount of resourcing that just came through as something that's so real for all people going through grief and loss, to really honor that in the body. We'll just take a breath and exhale. And I connected, Robin, that you were noticing that as well for yourself. Like there was a recognition in that.
Oh, absolutely. As she was speaking, and I've said it before, that I kind of feel bad that before I was a widow, I didn't have any comprehension of what it was like. It's kind of like what Mary Kennison just said, that when until you're pregnant, you don't really know what it is, or you're a parent, you don't, I mean, you think you might know, but you don't. So this camaraderie that you have as a collective with widows is not a club you want to join, but once you've joined it, it's like, okay, I'm right here. I totally vibe with you. I totally get this.
Yeah.
And your story is so different than mine in the sense that, I didn't have biological family, and neither did Bob, that showed up for us after death. But, well, my kids did, but, I couldn't have a funeral and have had the experience that you did. So to hear your story really meant the world to me, because I could feel the comfort. My comfort came from my friends in the soul spa, and my clients and my girlfriends and whatnot. And yours came from family. And for those people who are listening who have family and friends, this is huge support that we all need it during these times of grief.
I mean, that's why human beings have beautiful
Hmm.
rituals. The rituals
Yes.
that we go through are so important to our soul's evolution and actually the healing of the body. So,
And I'm sorry, but I'm hearing Dave. He's jumping in and saying how much he got a kick out of his funeral, and how much it meant to him too, Mary Kennison, that family showed up for you.
Oh,
He felt deeply respected. He felt like your marriage was being respected and you were being respected, and he wants his family and your family to understand what that meant to him as a spirit on the other side.
mm, that's wonderful. That is wonderful. Yeah. It was a wonderful funeral, and it meant a lot to me. And I'll get back to why it took 3.5 years for the
Thank you.
ashes. Um, but it was, so I got the ashes, and you have to pick out an urn. You go in this little room and pick out an urn. And Dave was always money conscious, not greedy or cheap, but money conscious. And so I'm walking in thinking, well, I'm going to be practical. I'm going to get, the so urn. But I looked over, and they have this beautiful clock that goes on a mantle above the fireplace. And the minute I saw this clock, which you had to pay more for, even him was like, get the clock, get the clock. And it was just such a fun thing, because it was like, yeah, you're going to spend the extra money and you're going to get that clock. And I have loved having this clock on my mantle. It looks beautiful. And my thought was always, I might die, the kids put them together, whatever. But at my age, I was 60, I'm 63 now. I was 60 when he passed away. And I had to sit down and think about moving forward. And for me, my mother was 95 when she died. So I'm possibly looking at 20 to 30 years without him. That's a long time to hold on to ashes. And to make my children responsible for those later. So it came up that I was planning a trip with my daughter, Michelle, who's here with me now. And I was going to fly into Las Vegas. She was going to meet me. 2 days before I had a call with Robin, I was watching a show, and they had these beautiful, it was suburbs. The boroughs. It was called the boroughs. And I loved the houses. And I was like, those houses look like the West Coast.
Mary, I'm going to have to interrupt us because we have to go to a short
Okay.
commercial break, but I can't wait to hear it.
Okay.
When we get back, we're going to return
Okay.
and we're going to continue the
Mhm.
story of honoring Dave. So we'll be
Okay.
right back.
When life leaves you feeling untethered, how do you reclaim your center and step back into your full power? Mary Stephenson is a somatic practitioner and healing guide who helps individuals rebuild from the inside out. Reclaim your personal authority and save $100 on your first session using the code MYSTIC at marystephenson.com/coaching. That's Stevenson, spelled STEPHENSON.com/coaching. Your path forward is waiting.
This is Martha Norwalk. Every Sunday morning, beginning at 9 a.m., thanks in part to Natasha Venter at intuitiveclarifications.com, we cover the world of animals. This week, August 30th, it's an encore presentation. Tune in to hear our last energy balancing show with best practitioner Linda Rasmussen. It was a great show, and you can receive a surrogate healing just by listening and following along with Linda's directions. Hope you can join us, Martha Norwalk's Animal World, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon, right here on Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
Welcome back to Mystic Radio with Robin Alexis as we continue our celebration of Dave's life alongside his beautiful wife, Mary Kennison. So we're just going to step right back into the conversation, Mary, and you were explaining about getting the urn. Yeah.
I was watching burrows and I loved the houses, and they look like from the West Coast. So I need to drive and I need to feel myself in California and Nevada again and be on the West Coast. So I told my daughter, Michelle, I'm going to drive. Then I had a phone call, a reading that was scheduled with Robin. And during that call, Robin said, "What are you doing?" Dave is chiming in here asking, "What are you going to do with the ashes? It's time for you to do something with the ashes." And when Dave came through Robin, I was like, well, I'm driving to California. I decided last minute to drive. I can transport the ashes to California. And that's what I did. So it just flowed very easy to have this reading with Robin. And things had lined up. And that was why it took me three and a half years, was kind of deciding that I was going to live a lot longer and I needed to let him go emotionally and physically, and for him to still be by my side, but in a different way.
Yes,
So
he is chiming in again, Mary Kennison. He's saying that when you and your daughter let him go, it freed up the energy, which Mary Stephenson can explain some more. He's saying that it freed up your way of communicating him through your nervous system in the old way, and he's more in his light body, and you can contact him easier for what is about to come. Does that resonate to you?
It completely resonates. And that is where leads into how I felt yesterday releasing those ashes. And it was here at the beach that we both grew up at.
Oh my gosh.
So it's a place where I always feel happy at, and I feel at home. It's the city I was born in, and I love this area, and we were very connected here, but it felt like a release, was what it felt like, a heavenly release, and a lightness in my heart, and a joy, not so much a sadness for what had been, but a joy for what we had, and a joy for what was going to happen in the future.
And it's what I really want to speak to the audience about too, is that, these loved ones are always engaged in our life and in a different form, but they're on, in a sense, your healing journey, your soul's journey, and still participating in unique ways to you. So the fact that he has been still around, right? Because in a minute, I also want to hear, because I think there's some other ways that you're really honoring his life and then almost like bringing the two of your lives in together through your project. So we would love to hear what that is like for you.
Okay. I was what some people call a conscious channeler or automatic writing. I had been doing that since probably almost 20 years ago. I had started working with Robin in 2008, and that's where some of those abilities were starting to be honed. So Dave was well aware that I was doing that, and I was working with what I called my crew. And
Mhm.
my crew consists of certain beings that I work with, and I just automatically type. So about five, maybe three, no, it was about 3 months after his death, he would come through what I call my crew writings, and he was coming through. And he had even said, we're going to write a book together. But it didn't really register. And I'm still working full time. Um, I'm still going through the grieving process. A year goes by, and then the second year goes by. I'm still working. I have house issues I have to deal with. So some of this, it's like, yeah, this is great. I'm talking with my husband. It's helpful. But I'm still going through stuff. Then 2 years and about 2 months go by, and I get a phone call from Robin. And Robin, do you mind me mentioning the whole Saima situation?
Oh, I think Saimar would love that. And for people who don't know, Saimar
Okay.
is a living guru who you're about to hear from. Go ahead,
Okay.
Mary Kennison.
And the I've been dealing with spirituality and more Western religions. So when she calls me and said, "Hey, somebody that I know, a client of mine, mentioned your name. She mentioned your name because Sai Ma mentioned your name to her." And I said to Robin, I don't know any Indian guru. I don't know why anybody is mentioning my name. I have no idea what you're talking about. But Robin goes, well, she's on YouTube. Watch her on YouTube. So this is how this guru gets a hold of me, basically. Like, wake up, Mary, you need to start listening. And so I watched Saima on YouTube, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, because everything she said was what was going on in my head, what I believe. It was like, she was so relatable to me, and her whole heart, everything, I felt so much. And that was when she started popping in then, and I started working with Saima in spirit form. I have still never met her. I just work with her in spirit very heavily. And she's phenomenal. And not long after that, I was getting help with a counselor, and I was telling the counselor about, how I believe in the afterlife and that the veil is very thin and I can talk to my husband. And she goes, "Well, if you think like that, why don't you talk to a psychic?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I do that too. I thought counseling might help too." But it was just like, and I said, well, it's funny you said that, because my husband has been telling me to give Robin a call.
Interesting.
So I called Robin, and that is when that call was in October of 2025. And that call, Dave came in very strongly and said, this is an initiation. We're going to write a book. I am going to write a book. And you're going to write it also with a companion, a beloved, in the future. So, do you agree to that? And I said yes. And that was so it was October 2025. But some of Sai Ma's guidance, Sai Baba of Shirdi came in very heavily. And those two guides were extremely helpful in aligning me to opening up to what I call is Dave's book.
Isn't
And
that
at that
amazing?
point, Dave said, yeah. But as I was starting it, I would say, like, this is Mary talking and blah, blah, blah. And then he said, no, I'm taking over. And then I would still try to like have some say. And he go, no, this is my book. This is my book. You do not have to do anything.
My
You
husband,
do not
he's
have
in
to do anything.
spirit, is laughing so hard. He's like
Yeah.
slapping his knee on the other side because he's still bossing me around and directing this show.
Yeah.
And that's, his legacy. And you got a husband who's directing you, who's channeling through you verbatim a book from the other side. I mean, who does this? Mary
Yeah.
Stephenson, help. We're both grieving, but we're both having these amazing experiences with our husbands.
Well, we
Yeah.
are in the new world, especially when we're
We
recording
are.
today, people. We have entered a new world where, we're operating on a new dimension, and there's going to be a whole revolution in understanding and embodiment, right? So the thing that I always want to bring us back to is the life that we're living through these bodies. So how can you understand that you're more powerful the more embodied you can be, the more we can bring this love frequency into every cell of the living body is then a connection to other dimensional realities and the crew, right? You speak of the crew that you have and
Yeah.
so what this show, even today, is we're giving people permission to change their belief systems. And I won't get into all the astrology, but I will say that the astrology of this moment is the biggest shift in human consciousness that the planet has ever received in known history.
And we're doing it today on this day.
And we're literally doing it today on this day. So we are, Mary, thank you, and Dave and Bob and Robin for, awakening this in making it plausible to people that there is this connection and also continuing to work with your own life and how to be embodied and, live in this present moment because the present moment living is the new key to the new earth.
That's beautiful. And Mary
Yeah.
Kennison, I would like for you to come on when the book is done because I am so curious about this book, and I'm sure our listeners are as well. So, can we make a date that when the book's ready, you come back on and share it with our audience to launch your book?
Well, I'll let Dave answer that question.
He already has it. Yeah.
Section one, he has it in sections. Section one is 6 chapters and it's 144 pages. I didn't set that up. Like I said, I just wrote it and it's 6 chapters. It is section one and section one is done. Section two has not been started yet, nor have I gotten the agreement to start it yet. So he will let you know, and it'll probably be when section two has begun, he would like to talk about section one with you.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Well, then we'll bring you back on. I think this will be really fun because I have to tell you, I have
Okay.
never seen Dave, your husband, or my husband, Bob, hooking up, meeting each other. But right now, I don't know if you can see it or sense it, but I can see the two men are in cahoots, having a ball, and they're starting to contact other men who have crossed over. Maybe there'll be, maybe widowers will come on too, but right now this is clearly a widow show. So if you're a widow out there and you've got a story you're willing to share, you can contact us. I would suggest that you email me at spiritladyrobin@gmail.com. That's spiritladyrobin@gmail.com. And then Mary Stephenson and I will interview you to see if we're all comfortable working together live on the air. But this has been a wonderful, wonderful show. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Mary Kennison and Dave. And I'm just going to be quiet because I could
Yeah,
keep
thank you. I
rattling
just want to
on.
thank Mary for all your beautiful stories and giving us hope. There's so much hope and love in this show that came today. So, And I would just say, if this conversation touched something in you, to our dear listeners, please like and subscribe and leave us a comment and share this episode with someone walking through their own experience of loss. We were so grateful to have all of you join us today. Until next time, this is Live with Mystic Radio. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Mystic Radio with Rob and Alexis. Are you a widow or grieving a deep loss? Are you curious about mediumship? Then this show is for you. Join clairvoyant medium Robin Alexis as she speaks live on the air with her deceased husband, Bob, while being supported by somatic practitioner and healing guide, Mary Stephenson. Download the KKNW app Fridays at 8 a.m. Pacific, or listen wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If you are suffering from a broken heart, let this show help you heal yourself.